So Brian May's coming to talk to us this morning. Very excited to see him. We've all been nose deep in his 3D book about the mission to the moon. It's incredible. You're sort of looking into the studio. There's people like with these 3D glasses on, staring at these incredible photos. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his first single in ages, which got sent into space. And probably might even talk about hedgehogs. Brian May on his way. It's 14 minutes past 8 and we welcome a fabulous guest this morning. Very excited that he's here. How should we describe him, though? We could say he's a legendary guitarist who founded one of the world's biggest bands, or we could say he's an outstanding astrophysicist, or we could tell you about his 4-time Oscar-winning film Bohemian Rhapsody, because all these are true. And at the start of this year, he launched his first solo single in 20 years from NASA's control room. Yes, he will rock you. It's Dr. Brian May. Welcome, Brian.
What an intro. My God, thank you.
I know, my goodness me. Where do we even begin with everything?
I don't know. Even I don't know what I'm doing.
I know. It's fantastic. You're doing so many different things. Yeah. So let's start with the single. On New Year's Day, you launched your first solo single in 20 years. What took you so long, Brian?
Yeah, I'd never thought of it that way. I was busy. You know, I've been doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And there's another thing to add to that list, which is the animal stuff that I do. You know, and
yes, we're going to talk about hedgehogs as well. We're going to talk about hedgehogs later on.
A lot of stuff, you know, and I did a lot of production. There's a lot of Queen stuff, you know. I did a lot of stuff with Kerry Ellis. You know, we toured and we made albums, and hopefully we will again. Yeah. And just a lot of stuff. I guess all of it, none of it seems like work to me, but there is a lot of it. So in the end, you think, oh, this is all me, you know. Yeah. And I brought this upon myself. But I feel fortunate to be doing any of it.
I know, and so, seriously fun projects as well. Yeah. And to launch your first solo single in 20 years from NASA's New Horizons control room. I mean, how on earth, or how not on earth, did that actually come about?
Yeah, well, New Horizons, to explain, is the mission that went to Pluto. And of course, when we were kids, Pluto was just a white dot and nobody had any idea what it was like. This mission went all the way there, 3 billion miles, and photographed it at close quarters. And I was in the control room because I'd got to know these guys. I mean, it's a long story, but I know a lot of these NASA teams. Yeah. And I communicate with them on various levels, one of which is the 3D thing, which we'll talk about, because I like to put images together to make stereoscopic viewing, which they enjoy, and occasionally I make music for them. So this was the thing. And the New Horizons mission photographed Pluto, and then it sped past at many thousands of miles per hour, and eventually rendezvoused with a Kuiper Belt object 4 billion miles away. And I was able to be there on New Year's Day this year when that happened. So you feel like you're in the capsule. You feel like you're in the rocket, you know, being there and seeing what they're seeing. And what they saw was extraordinary. No one's ever seen a Kuiper Belt object close up.
It's just balmy. I mean, sometimes the figures and the numbers and the distance blows my mind.
It's insane. It's incredible. And these guys are so incredibly precise and also very artistically inspired, you know. And I think astronomy and music go together very well, which we discover again and again. You have to be precise. You have to be good at maths, I guess, you know, but you also have to have some kind of inspiration to ask the right questions and to put the right things in place.
Yeah, my goodness. Well, I can kind of see why you get on with them so well, actually. It's sort of like the beginning of a beautiful friendship between
I love it,
you guys. Yeah.
I guess it's a dream for me, because when I was a kid, I kind of wanted to be an astronaut, you know, as kids do. And I went in the other direction, because my other dream was to be a musician, and I figured I was no good at astronomy, but I was kind of okay as a musician. So that's what happened.
I love that. It was kind of okay as a musician.
It takes you a while to figure this out when you're a kid, you know.
It does. It does.
Then 30 years later, I've got my PhD, which is another long story, and then I'm able, in a way, that opens the door to going back into astronomy. And I love these guys. They're all just full of life and interesting ideas. There's people like Matt Taylor, who run the Rosetta mission. That's another NASA mission which went to a particular comet, which they circled and photographed. And again, I was able to put 3D pictures together of that. which to me is a thrill. It's like a toy, and you have one of the toys in your hand.
I have got one of the toys
you?
in my hand. So you've done this brilliant book, Mission Moon 3D, and which comes with its own 3D glasses.
It does.
In that, do you know what? We've all been like kids here this morning, looking at these. We've all had, Graham keeps looking in, seeing if we're doing any work, and there's Mike Ritchie or myself with our 3D glasses, looking at these incredible images. I mean, this is an awful lot of work has gone into this book, Brian. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a labour of love, and I do love this stuff. And to make this book, we went back into the Apollo mission archives in NASA, and we were able to find a few images which had never been seen before in 3D. Now, it takes a little bit of work because you need two different viewpoints, and then normally there's a bit of distortion and stuff, and you have to work on them, polish them up. But the reward is, when you look through your viewer, as you're doing now, you see these things in 3D, which is so much more evocative than seeing them flat.
Exactly, and it really brings them to life. And if you put your record on at the same time, it's like you're in space. It's great. I love it.
Charlie Duke said it's the closest thing to being on the moon.
Yeah.
And he should know.
And he should know. Exactly. But your love of 3D sort of came from when you were a child.
Yes, it did. It's a funny story, but opening my cereal packet, I always used to expect a toy, because you did in those days.
Yeah,
it's a shame you don't these days. I was mourning the loss of Sugar Puffs the other day, but that's another story. But opening my Weetabix packet, out popped this little card with two pictures side by side which looked the same, and it was a hippopotamus. I remember it clearly to this day, and I thought, well, that's not very interesting. They're just two little flat pictures. What does that do?
Yeah.
Turn it over, it says, send away a packet top and 1 and 6pence, and we'll send you a 3D viewer to put this in. So this is what I did, put the card in the viewer, and suddenly I was looking at the hippopotamus like it was real, like I could fall down its throat, looking through this kind of frame, and I felt like I could walk through, and actually, you could smell its breath. It was unbelievable, and I thought, why doesn't everybody do this the whole time? If this is 3D photography, why is everybody not bothering, and why is anybody doing flat photography?
And so
it became a passion. I became a kind of mad evangelist for 3D, I guess, because I just love it. I see it everywhere. See, the world around us, we see in 3D if we're lucky enough to have two eyes. That's what we're made for. And 3D is given to us because evolutionary-wise, we evolved, and it gave us an incredible advantage. If you see in 3D, you know how far away things are, whether they're going to eat you or whether you're going to be able to eat them, I guess.
I have actually
seen... So you have to use this 3D thing.
It's funny you talk about hippopotamus. I've seen in the mouth of a hippopotamus, and I've smelt the breath. I had to feed a hippopotamus. It was called Billy once in I think it was in Mali, and it was terrifying, Brian, actually putting the food into its mouth. I digress, of course, but it was as you were talking about the 3D hippopotamus. I had to share that with you.
Let's do hippos.
Let's do hippos. I tell you what, we're gonna play this track, this New Horizons by Brian. This is the one that went up into space. It's fantastic, and also loved the Queen 3D book, which is this is where it all started, isn't it? But we'll talk more with Brian because we've got to talk about hedgehogs and all sorts, and much more after this. Enjoy this from Brian May, New Horizons. New Horizons, Brian May. It's amazing. Co-written with Don Black, the wonderful Don Black.
Indeed, one of the world's greatest lyricists. I called him in because this had to be good. And, it came to life, and Stephen Hawking's on there as well, which is nice. I was able to put a little clip.
I know. That is fantastic.
He was such an inspiration and became a great friend to us all who were in this kind of community. Sadly missed, but he's on there. And it's nice because he actually gave his endorsement to that project. That's what you're hearing, He's saying, we will discover things about the way we were born, why the human race is here, and that's what this mission is about. So that's what my song was about.
Excellent. I have to say congratulations on the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, it was huge. Were you expecting it to be as well received as it was? I mean, I know you were really involved in this project. Yeah,
it was a long labour of love. I'm about 12 years in development, I guess. And we thought it would do well in the end. We felt good about it, but we didn't realise it would do that well. It's incredible around the world. It's like $1 billion movie. I had to laugh, actually, the other day, because there's a thing in the paper saying that we were getting rich off this movie. honestly, if they only knew, you know, we had an accounting the other day and we still haven't earned a penny.
There you go.
Isn't that funny? So how successful does a movie have to be before you make money?
Before anyone makes any money.
Because there's so many people, of course, that people don't realise, you know, that will take pieces off the top.
Exactly.
You know?
And there's the huge production involved in that as well. And I know
the feeling of it is so great. You know, the fact that it's out there and Freddie's... I think Freddie, you know, comes out of it with his dignity, but without having been sort of whitewashed in any way. It's very real, and it makes people cry, which I think is... It
really does. And I think lots of people like me, when you watch it, and then after watching it, you go back and watch the Live Aid performance and a lot of your other performances again, with fresh eyes again, seeing those.
Definitely.
It's great.
And I think people are astounded how close to Freddie Rami got. It's phenomenal, isn't it? The way he got inside Freddie's body somehow.
Just
inside his skin.
I know, he's an amazing actor.
He really is.
We must talk about hedgehogs, because I know you're doing a lot of campaigning on behalf of animals. And there's a Channel 4 show tomorrow night with you and Steve Backshall. It's called Saving Britain's Hedgehogs. What can you tell us about it?
I can tell you it's a lot of fun, you know, and hedgehogs are nice because there's nobody really who wants to kill them.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the animals we try to campaign on behalf of people do want to kill. You know, we're talking about foxes and badgers. It's a very controversial situation in both cases.
Yeah.
With hedgehogs, everybody loves them, and people are realising that we're losing them really fast because of the urbanisation, because of the slug pellets and all the other reasons. So the programme will start to tell us why this is happening and how we can possibly avoid it before it's too late and keep our native hedgehogs, who really are the most wonderful creatures. And they were here long before we were, as were the badgers, as were the foxes.
Yeah, so we should protect them, so we should watch that. Also, you're heading out on tour with Queen, with Adam Lambert, on a world tour, off to Japan, New Zealand, Australia, North America. Will it be coming, play some gigs here soon?
I'm hoping we will.
Please, Brian,
yeah,
please.
No announcement. Yeah, well, one more before we pop off is my theory, you know. Yes. You're
only young. Look at you. You've got so many amazing projects on the go as well.
I can still run about and still speak.
Just very much
this time of the morning. So yeah,
it's not easy for any of us at this hour, Brian. And please say happy birthday to Anita. Lovely Anita celebrated her birthday last week. Give her all a love. Brian May, thank you for coming to see us this morning.
Wow.
Total treat.
It's a whirlwind.
I know, it really is, Brian. Hold tight. Here's Richie with the road.